Can we talk about it now? Can we talk about it? Can we talk about it? I'm gonna talk about it. About 4 months ago, I put out a video about black men cheating, and it got mixed responses, but for the most part, it was talking about the mental space that you have to be in at times for certain things to happen in your life. It looked at the black male trauma and how it impacts their actions and their decisions moving forward, their intimate relationships, and how they process information around them. Fast forward to now, and now we see our lovely friend Boosie talking about with pride how he arranged for an older woman to perform oral sex on his 12-year-old son. Now, you know full and well if we were to flip that situation and it was a mother who arranged for an older man to perform any form of sexual act on their 12-year-old daughter, we would have turned this bad boy upside down already. We would have turned it upside down and burned this place to the ground. But because it was a young black boy, you know, mixed reviews. I have a problem with this. And this is why we need to be talking about this. We need to talk about the black male trauma. And I don't say that in light of the female trauma or the black female trauma, because we deal with a world that is just unreal at times. So there's no discounting what black females encounter. None. But it's something that we talk about openly. Despite what might get what the response might be from the public, this is something we talk about openly. Why? I don't know. We could attribute it to the fact that there's a patriotic, can't get my words out, patriarch society that sees women as weak and sees sexual assault and sees rape as something that happens to weak women, hence the Me Too movement and us trying to reclaim our strength because we've been strong. But that could be a reason as to why it's more readily talked about amongst females, but not necessarily men, especially black men. But this is something we need to discuss before we see more videos and more evidence of the trauma that they face, the trauma that has been played off as rites of passage, and the ways that it's toxicating. How it's toxic. See, I can't get my words out like that. This is pissing me off. The ways that it's toxic for them now and how it manifests in a toxic manner now. To go into this, we really have to look at what can cause the human brain or the human mindset to be in a space where it thinks that things like this are okay in the first place. So let's take a trip back in the time, back to slavery. When you were picking a slave, you put them up on the chopping block, you know? The auction block, if you will. I call it a chopping block because but you put them up on the auction block and they're butt naked, and you're pretty much assessing from there what characteristics they have that you bangs with. If it's a female, she got all the pieces and she looks like she got birthing hips, and she got, because you know they wasn't just picking them for the fields, but whatever. They were picking them based off of their physical attributes. Same thing for the men. You were graded on your package. First step in being over-sexualized. Then you go into slavery, and let's not pretend like they weren't getting taken for their stuff. They wasn't getting taken, used, and abused outside of the fields. Let's not pretend like this wasn't happening. Not just massa raping the women, but massa raping some of the men, sending them to butt-breaking camps, and then you have the massa's wife messing with the men, and now you're wondering why she got the mixed baby, and you got a whole bunch of people talking about I'm the pappy. Sorry, I went off into a tangent of a different movie, but you know what I'm talking about. There was a level of sexual abuse that permeated through that time frame. Now we flash forward to now, or if you want to go a little bit further back, not past slavery, but a little bit further back past now, about 5-6 generations previous, you start seeing this culture of sex makes you a man. Sexual acts make you a man. Oh, we're trying to put some hair on your chest. You gotta sow your wild oats. You gotta experience the world before you can settle down. You gotta get it all out your system. Sound familiar? Cool, because I know I've heard it a lot. You have that. You have the population, and I'm talking to y'all, so if y'all see this video and you feel targeted, hit dogs holler, so here we are. But you have a population of black women that when they see a young black man who is mature or looks looks mature. It don't really matter what age they are, just as long as they look mature. You ever see your mom's friends looking at you a little differently ever since, you started becoming a man? There's a population of women that target young black men, and we brush it off. It's like we see it, but we brush it off. Why? I don't know, but we brush it off. So you have all of these functioning pieces that interlock with each other and start to create this trauma inside of them, because you have young boys, 10, 9, 11, 12, being targeted and sexually abused, but with the wrapping paper of this is a rite of passage. I know you've seen in the past movies about, or references in movies about how men would take their sons to a brothel to make them a man. They weren't taking them there to read bedtime stories. No. This was really happening. And when these things happened, you now have to rationalize in your mind what has taken place. And when you have a nice wrapping paper called Rite of Passage and becoming a man, it's a little bit easier to swallow at the moment, but your insides, your subconscious is reeling and trying to just be okay. So now you have people coming out on live talking about, oh, I was raped when I was young. Ain't nothing wrong with me. I came out fine. I'm just a sex addict and I was sexually assaulting females, but ain't nothing wrong with me. Okay. So you have the mindset. You have that space where they now start to associate, because they've been messed with at such a young age, and they've been introduced to something that is so mature and so grown and so far past where they are, that their young brains are just trying to understand what it is. So it hides the trauma and makes you feel like that trauma is normal because everyone around you is telling you it's normal. So now, boom, we have the mindset established. And that's probably how Boosie got into the position that he was in, because that's probably how it went down for him. Now let's look at where you have to be to publicize this. We're not even going to touch on what you experience as that young man. We don't touch that yet. But where do you have to be mentally to publicize this? Not the son publicizing that something happened, the father publicizing it in a manner that makes it seem like this is how you create real men. How much trauma did he encounter? How much trauma did he encounter, but he's been telling himself for years that that's just, how you become a man? How many toxic relationships has he encountered where he couldn't trust the female that he was with? He couldn't open up completely in a relationship at all. But one night stands, that's completely normal to him. But having someone love and care about him is just far-fetched, because the first interaction he had with a woman outside of his mother was simply for sex. Now you're being conditioned that your body is only for that, and everything else is a sign of weakness. Sound familiar? Okay. Now I can go down that rabbit hole all day and all night, but there's a list to get to. Now let's talk about what his son could have experienced. What does a 12-year-old in that position, whose father is telling them this is what's going to happen and that this is okay, what does a 12-year-old do? What does a 12-year-old think? What does a 12-year-old tell himself about his own safety? How does a 12-year-old see themselves thereafter? I don't even want to imagine what that is. But I'd assume it's scary. I'd assume it's terrifying. I'd assume there's so much fear and so much anxiety that it doesn't align with the fact that you're being told that this is okay. Now you're forced to process something that adults can barely handle properly. Why? So you have the mindset that makes you think that the action's okay, the mindset that makes you feel that publicizing it is okay, because in publicizing it, you are now trying to make yourself feel even more of a man, even more of that masculine figure, by showing how effectively you've produced men, not recognizing that you didn't effectively produce anything except for another scarred individual that's most likely going to have to go through years of therapy to process what the heck just happened. And then we talked about, where could that little boy's head be at? So let's string them all together, shall we? Little boy taken advantage of by an older woman, who now is encountering sex on a level that does not make sense to them, masks the fear with the pride, if you will, that was given to them by their father, or whoever establishes, or whoever they brought it to after and made them believe that that was okay. So now it's not fear. We have to suppress that fear. We gotta get rid of that, because that's not manly. That's not being a man. That's not being strong. So now you have that 12-year-old boy trying to just find a semblance of himself. He's masking all of the emotions that he's feeling and doing things as time goes on to try to compensate and cope and fill that void of brokenness that was created back at 12. They can't fully trust women because the only interaction they had with the women outside of their mama was just for the buns, was to take something from them, and they can't really understand where that anger, the rage that they experience in life is coming from, but they know it's there. The only thing that they feel they can do to establish their manhood now is sex, because they were taught at a very young age that sex is how you become a man. And once you become a man, you have to stay a man, don't you? Can't fall off from the things that make you a man. How did we get here? How did we get to this sick and twisted space? But most of all, what do we do now that we are here? What do we do? I tell you what we do. We start tackling this bad boy head on. We start breaking those generational curses head on. We start taking an initiative, speaking life, speaking truth, speaking love, speaking support into our young Black men and women. Don't think I forgot about you. I'm just making this video about men right now, but and women. We need to start being the change that we want to see, no matter how cliche that might sound. We have to. Because we're the ones who are dealing with the consequences now. We're the ones doing the hard work of figuring out where our bad and maladjusted behaviors come from, and why do I do the things that I do. We're the ones doing the work now, so we have to be the ones to institute the change for the young ones coming up, because if we don't, there's going to be more Boosies telling them that this is how it works. You're going to have more Black men talking about, I was raped at 10, I'm fine. You're going to have more Black men talking about, my first sexual experience was when I was 9 with my babysitter, and because my body responded a certain way, I thought that I liked it, so now this is all I'm seeking, and this is all I can think about, because I'm 9 and my brain don't really do what it need to really be doing at that point, so it's locking on to the one pleasure sensory that I've experienced. And now for the rest of my life, for a good chunk of my life, I'm going to be seeking validation, seeking love, seeking acceptance through sex, and wondering why none of my relationships work, and why I can't be happy. And why I've conditioned myself to believe that happiness is sex. We have to attack this now. Let them know sex is not what makes you who you are. Sex is not what makes you who you are. What you've experienced when you were younger, that was not a rite of passage. That was trauma. And you can put barbecue sauce on a brick all you want. At the end of the day, it's still gonna be a brick. So no matter how you try to mentally dress it up to make it seem like it's not trauma, it's trauma. And your body knows it, your spirit knows it, and you're struggling with it. But you're not alone. And you're not being demonized. This is real. And I'm coming to you. I'm talking to you from a place of love because I want to see y'all do better. I want to see you able to heal because everyone wants to talk about changed behavior in our Black men, but we're not talking about the things that create the bad behavior that we're seeing. How many times are we going to beat somebody for the behavior and not try to figure out why they're doing it? How many times we going to, because we love to call them dogs, how many times are you going to beat a dog for pooping in the house, but you're not teaching them how to be potty trained? And they don't know better. They're going to do what they know how to do at that moment. Now, let's not take away accountability because there's some men who know better. They might not know how to do better, but they know better. And it's now your responsibility to take that journey to find a way to get to better. So I'm not taking away accountability. What I am saying is that we need to have a conversation. Not an accusatory conversation, but an open and honest conversation that says that as a Black man, as a Black woman, we've experienced some things that we should have never experienced. And because we've experienced these things that we should have never experienced, we now have to do healing for things that weren't our fault in the first place. But we need to do the healing nonetheless. Instead of berating and getting mad at each other, we need to do the healing together. This is not a conversation that's going to be over in one video. But when we're talking emotional intelligence, you have to be open to your emotions enough to recognize that they're coming from a place that you might not know how to get to right now. I love you. God loves you. He wants to see y'all heal. So let's do it together. E.I.T is not just for me. It's for we.